Hello, everybody. What I was going to talk about today is say if you had trouble making a constrictor knot the same way I did, and show you kind of like what I come up with in a way of tying one. It's not saying I could not do it, just not doing it this way, but it would just seem like really hard to do with my fat fingers and stuff. So I like to. I know a lot of what I see is people don't use a constrictor knot for knocking points, but I love them for knocking points just because of the ability you have in making them so tight, and counting the loops, which you can do that with square knots, but I just find it makes a much harder knot that will not squish or move when put pressure on it, drawing it back. So I like them for knocking points, you know. So I'll show you how I do it. The way I've come up with makes it a little bit easier. There it is. I like to never got it to focus, but I've got my Hoyt RX-7 set up here, and I'm going to try to do this. Say I might not do it as quick as because I'm looking through my camera of my phone right now, but the three things that other than the string that I use, I got my little hemostat so I can lock. Got me a pair of really fine point um, tweezers, and just a piece of an arrow here. You can see it's all flared out. It's just a scrap piece of an arrow, and I can tell you right now this is not going to be as easy as just doing it not looking through the camera, but I'll do the best I can do. But first thing I do, I've got this BCY nock point tying thread. I don't know what size that is, but I get about that much. It's kind of irrelevant in showing how to do a constrictor knot anyway. So let's see, about, I don't know, about a foot of it. Now what I'll do is I'll clip my little hemostat on the string, and that holds the tag end of this. And now I can put this just gives me some space for my loops. So there's one. I'm gonna do four. I count that as this is four. I count that as 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then now I kind of squish that together, try to keep it nice and neat, and I'll raise this up, and see that's still holding my end. And now I got my space in there, and now I can run that through that big space, this loop, and I got that one's through. Now I'm still holding this one with my finger, but I can now I can run this through my same loop and grab it. I gotta give myself a little bit of slack. So you can see what I'm doing. I keep this shut. Well, I'm about to make a mess. Sometimes it might be easier just to do the same thing with this. Say, I'm normally way more efficient than that looking through the cameras. making sure I'm not blocking anything. So now I've got that. I can make sure it's all more neat. So you can kind of, because now I can see how even I can make that. And then I just pull this out. Pull it tight, make sure it'll snug it. And see what I like about this. And that essentially makes 3 loops. You can see the 3 loops. And when I do a nocking point, what I'll do, say my whether it's the nocks on whichever side my nock's at, if this is the top nock, then I'll spin this around and you can snug it just a little bit more to where you can still adjust it. And then I'll just make my tag end to where it'll be, or my end of my string here, I guess you call it the tag end line, where it will be, you know, my nock it won't hinder my nock, so it won't affect my nock. Will butt right up against that bottom of that loop. So, and then this one's kind of irrelevant, so I can pull that tight, and I mean, so now this line is not affecting my nock whatsoever. I can butt up against it. Got that set. Then I'll typically take an Allen wrench and do this, wind up this one to give me some, so it's not cutting into my hands. Then I'll take my D-loop pliers, wind this up a few times, and then pull it super tight. And that makes a knot that is insanely hard when you bump up against this. And then, you know, like I can make that one 4 wraps, then I make my bottom nock, this, like this one over here, is 5 wraps, so that gives me a little bit of push down on my arrow rest, and I can just really make it precise. I mean, that is just like a piece of, like a brass almost, but it's not, it's just so tight. And then typically what I'll do, I'll cut down this way, not, and I know it looks like I'm cutting into my string, but I'll just, so I don't cut this knot, but I'll just pull up on that and lightly, and it really doesn't, it's just more or less a aesthetic, you know, visual. It doesn't have to be cut that close to, because it's not going to affect the nock. It doesn't, you could have a little bit of a tag line back there, but you know, just don't get too carried away with the pressure. And I'll have a nice, and then what I'll do, that's another, it's a good thing to do or it's a bad thing to do, I don't know. I've just recently started doing it. I put a dab of glue just here on that knot, and I've not seen so far had any issue with that, instead of burning it, which I guess burning it would be fine, but I like putting just a, you know, show you what I do. Just about fell. Just a teeny tiny dab like that, and I just kind of make it soak in just a little bit. And then, you know, I'm obviously not going to keep this here, so I just get my razor blade and I get it under that tag line and just slice a few layers, being very careful. Slice it this way, You know, this is for if you need to move one. But that is just crazy. It feels like I'm cutting into a piece of wood. My razor blade is not, let's say it just slips right off. Razor blade's not very sharp when I was doing that, but that's how I tie a constrictor knot, and I've been doing it, and so it just seems like a lot easier to where before it'd take me a while to get them straightened out. So there you go. I thank you.